Epilogue. This narrative started as a report requested by the Universal House of Justice. They asked us to send in the stories of the Knights of Baha'u'llah in BE 120. I dutifully sent in my report and then received a note of thanks requesting that I get it published. The first part of the book covered my life up to BE 126, 1970 to 71, while as I write this epilogue, it is now BE 146, 1991. As you finish the first section, you can feel that Janabi thought he had it made spiritually. In fact, as I traveled and taught with Hand of the Cause Dr. Muhajir, every day he would ask me to pray for him, that he might die a firm Baha'i. I honestly never understood this. This most wonderful man not only loved Baha'u'llah, but gave his every breath and minute to him in the most dedicated service, yet he was concerned about his spiritual well-being. It is true that I had read many times what Baha'u'llah said about no man knowing his own end, and how even the most devout Baha'i can, at the very last moment of his life, fall into the nethermost fire. Reading it and understanding it are two different things. I did mass teaching in 54 countries and fully realize that it was not Janabi who did it. Whose teachings are they? Whose Holy Spirit is it? Whose divine concourse on high is it? Who sends the waiting souls to us? Who sends us to them? Who inspires our hearts with his divine inspiration? Of course, every Baha'i will instantly say, Baha'u'llah. We have a very explicit warning in this regard from Abdu'l-Baha. The more one is severed from the world, from desires, from human affairs and conditions, the more impervious does one become to the tests of God. Tests are a means by which a soul is measured as to its fitness, and proven out by its own acts. God knows its fitness beforehand, and also its unpreparedness, but man with an ego would not believe himself unfit unless proof were given to him. Consequently, his susceptibility to evil is proven to him when he falls into the tests, and the tests are continued until the soul realizes his own unfitness. Then remorse and regret tend to root out the weakness. The same test comes again in greater degree until it is shown that a former weakness has become a strength, and the power to overcome evil has been established. Tablets of Abdu'l-Baha, Volume 5, page 234. Now, I know and realize what it means, and like Dr. Muhajir, I prayed ardently every day that I might die a firm Baha'i. In BE 133, 1978, my marriage of 31 years fell apart. That most wonderful and dedicated Knight of Baha'u'llah, Elaine Caldwell, whom I had taken for granted for all those years, gave up. Elaine is truly one of the most unsung heroes of the cause of God. This woman is totally selfless, never complains, stays away from conflict and contention, and lives a truly Baha'i life. If anyone has the title of saint, it should be Elaine Caldwell, a true Knight of Baha'u'llah. Up to this time, I had no patience with any of the Baha'is who on every side were given up on their marriages. How is this possible? I would rant and rave in my holier-than-thou attitude. Now I know and I understand the hell and anguish of it, and my heart overflows with love and tenderness for these souls. There is no way I could ever have understood this hell if I had not gone through it myself. Only God knows how I have suffered, and what I have lost due entirely to my own negligence. So, dear reader, I was plunged back into the pit of blackness and into the desolation of night. Though my sins be as many as the individual grains of sand upon the beach, God's forgiveness, grace, and mercy are as the drops of the mighty ocean. When the waves of this sea wash over the sand upon the beach, it is able to clean the sand of all contamination. Only one thing has been light upon light during this period, and that is serving the cause of Baha'u'llah however and wherever He has seen fit. My prayer to God that I said when I was in the depths of despair has been answered. This is that prayer. My God, my beloved, my heart's desire, from the very depths of my soul and the fullness of my heart, I rededicate myself to Thee and beg Thy forgiveness and pardon for all my past and future sins and transgressions, and plead with every fiber of my inner and outer being for Your protection, and that I may be protected by it from myself. I pray that I may submit myself to Thy will, and with absolute obedience follow in Thy footsteps, and dedicate my very heart, my soul, my life, my breath, my heartbeat, my movement, and my stillness to Thy service and Thy cause. I vow not to become entangled in the affairs of the world or sidetracked from Thy service and Thy cause. O my most beloved of my heart and soul, please, I beg of Thee, with a humble and lacerated heart, to assist me with Thy Holy Spirit, surround me with Thy love, guide my footsteps in this dark world. Let me be a candle of light for others, an ocean of love for Thy creatures, a unifier of peoples and nations, and a token of Thy infinite love, grace, and spirit to every soul You put me into contact with. My heart and my soul pulsate with such a nearness to God that only those seated at the same heavenly feast are aware of it, and the Lord alone shall be exalted in that day. Although I walk upon this earth, I am not part of it. My soul wanders in the realm where on every side only the glory of God can be heard. And although I say from night to night, both night and day have no meaning in this timeless, sanctified reality. The sky is more blue, the sun warmer, the flowers more fragrant, and the colors of the rainbow more brilliant, and I have come out into a new creation, a creation where heart and soul rule supreme, and body and mind are harmonized in servitude to the cause of God and the world of humanity. The world knows no happiness like this happiness, for it is complete. How longingly mankind wants and seeks this reality of joy, then chooses the false gods of materialism, only to find emptiness or at most a temporary enjoyment that is gone like the blink of an eye. I cry out with all the love God has deposited in my heart for all of you from the heaven of wonder and delight. Come with me, sorrowful ones, lonely ones, loved ones, to the ocean of God's love, and immerse yourselves in permanent and everlasting joy. From night to night, from darkness blacker than space into the most glorious light, with a heart galvanized into action on my steed of steadfastness in His cause, and with total dedication I sally forth. My beloved guardian Shoghi Effendi had inscribed our names as Knights of Baha'u'llah to be deposited at the shrine of Baha'u'llah. On the map he had with him in London at the time he took flight to the Epilogue kingdom, the beloved guardian had in his own hand called our goal of the Aleutians an outstanding achievement of the 10-year crusade. My heart is crushed and rivers of tears flow at the insignificance of our accomplishments. I vow with all my heart, soul, and power to redeem if possible, and God willing, this high honor showered upon us. Then shall the knights of the Lord, assisted by His grace from on high, strengthened by faith, aided by the power of understanding, and reinforced by the legions of the covenant, arise and make manifest the truth of the verse, Behold, the confusion hath befallen the tribes of the defeated. World Order of Baha'u'llah, page 17.